What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, the man, the myth, the legend, the making, Syer Dutch, reporting live from the land. Better known as Dutchy. I mean, man cave. It's my man cave. Just at the crib, just chilling right now. But for this video, just wanted to touch on mental health once again. Part of my mental health series. This is going to be part two. Part one is already posted up on my Facebook, so you can get at that on Facebook at Syer Dutch. You know what I mean? I'm Syer Dutch on all platforms. SYER. You know what I mean? You see it. You see it. If you can't spell it, you know what I mean. Get your mind right. Get your grammar right. But part two of my mental health series, I wanted to touch on depression and depression and perception. Okay, with depression, it's easy to fall. It's easy to fall into the mental psyche and the traps that are always around us that lead us to fall back into old habits or dangerous things that we may have going on in our life. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it be addictions, you know what I mean, whether you need, I mean, in all aspects. When I say addictions too, I'm talking about like cigarettes, drinking, smoking, uh, weed, or dabs, or whatever the fuck you may be smoking, vapes, or all that shit too, because it's all correlative. Uh, it all works together. You know what I'm saying? Because it all plays into your mental patterns, into the way that you're thinking on a daily basis, and the things that you like to do, like things that you like to do to entertain yourself. So with I'm gonna start with depression. Now, everyone in most cases knows that depression is a mental disorder. It's usually caused by high stress moments, high anxiety. You know what I mean? Like people, lack of social skills as well. People that don't feel comfortable in their own skin, not comfortable talking to other people face to face, rather just communicate through text or video or so on and so forth. You know what I mean? And that in itself is causing a huge rift amongst people in the human dynamic, because we're not as sociable as we used to be on, in a lot of ways. So it's very hard for most people. If for real, it's very hard for most people nowadays to even function in a social setting without being drunk or high, or just having your mind altered in some form or facet, to where you're not necessarily thinking too much in the moment. You're just living in the moment. And a lot of people in living in the moment get themselves caught up in a lot of bullshit and a lot of bull jive that that'll get you, you know what I mean? That'll get you put in a bad spot, whether you know what I mean, get you put in the hospital or killed. You know what I mean? Same difference, if you want to be honest. And it's a lot of build up from, like, you know what I'm saying, like a lot of build up in your everyday life, from like stress at work or the family, the relationship dynamic, male and female, or male and male, female, whichever your preference is. You know what I mean? And it's all about the give and take, for real, in my opinion. Because whether in most relationships, friends, or, you know what I mean, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, you know what I'm saying. In most relationships, communication is the biggest piece that hinders a lot of relationships, for whether it be lack thereof communication, or sometimes people do over communicate, and that can cause a buildup in itself as well, and that'll be annoying. That can be annoying to a partner as well. You know what I mean? You got people that, you know what I mean. There's most in most relationships, female, uh, well, in science, it's scientifically proven that men don't talk as much as women. You know what I mean? So in most cases, we're not we're when we're talking, it's mostly throughout our day, whether it be at work or when we're chilling and hanging out with our friends or so on and so forth, catching up on, you know what I mean, maybe what's been going on in the last few days or so on and so forth, catching up with your friends' lives and things like that. So in the male dynamic, because I can only really speak for men. In the male dynamic, we're not really used to opening up in that regards to whether to like how we're feeling, or like the stress build up from work or so on and so forth. So in most cases, we're not really even trying to talk about our day too often. We rather just let it build up for real. And sometimes, and that's in most cases, that's a bad thing, because we don't want to, because it ends up exploding, and we don't necessarily have the right words to express ourselves in the moment. So sometimes it will bring shit back in an argument from past, like a past conversation or something that we may have overlooked, and we'll bring it up to light. And in most cases, for real, it's a too little too late situation. It's like, why ain't you bring that up in the moment? But sometimes we rather hold on to that and use it in a we rather hold on to that and use it for a point of reference, you know what I mean, instead of just speaking on it in the moment. And that in itself will alleviate a lot of problems for you, or your spouse or your significant other, you know what I mean, which either or. But like I said, most men, we have trouble communicating in certain aspects how we're feeling, you know what I mean, and like what's on our mind. So we try to get that. Most people try and get that relief, or that stimulation to help you express that even like more fluent. And most people, like I said, choose to use alcohol or smoke, or, you know what I mean. Nowadays, cats is popping pills and shit, you know what I mean, doing Adderall, Xans, and all types of crazy shit to help themselves cope with their social anxiety. And that's like I said, that's leading to a lot of cases of depression in itself, where most of us feel like we're stuck in a hole, and we can't even get the ball rolling in the right way for ourselves, you know what I mean. And that's it's a lot of it's a lot of build on, excuse me, there's a lot of build on that, especially in the black community, because in all honesty, most black men are traumatized from situations that we've been going through growing up. You know what I mean? Like seeing your best friends getting killed, people you growing up with, no majority of your life getting killed over pettiness and bull jive. You know what I mean? Cats getting hit with stray bullets and so on and so forth, or even, you know what I mean, or the people that are out here committing suicide too as well. And it's getting really tough on a lot of people, which and furthermore makes it harder to find relationships, because you don't, most people don't even know what they're getting into nowadays when they're even getting with somebody, because because to be honest, most people is most people is catching bodies like the first or second date. You feel me? I mean, if in most cases, if the female ain't giving up the butt, I mean, most dudes ain't even really trying to holler at you. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't even trying to go that far if you ain't even trying to give up the butt. You know what I mean? You trying to make me work extra hard to get the butt, and that's you know what I mean? Nowadays, that's getting a bit out of hand. It's a little bit crazy, but and that's putting a rift in the relationship dynamic as well, and that leads to the perception is what that leads to perception. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna continue on the depression, but the depression is part. It, the depression that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, and it's like it's a constant cycle of, you know what I mean, what do I gotta what do I need to get done today? Did I do that? Did I get it done? Is there time? If I didn't get it done, is there time enough for me to get it done? Uh, what my bills do I need to pay? Make sure that my bills are paid. If I and how do I make sure that I keep having the continuous resources to make sure that my bills is paid? You know what I mean, whether you're working your 9 to 5, but some of us out here slaving, working 12 hour, 16 hour shifts and shit like that. And you know what I mean, and you got of course you got your hustlers and your self-made business owners and so on and so forth. And those, even like I said, all them situations can be stressful on you if you're doing it on your own and not able to communicate throughout the process. You know what I mean, and gets alleviate some of that mental stress that you may be dealing with, whether it be, you know what I mean, paperwork or people's attitudes, and you know what I mean, just the daily workforce nonsense that you deal with, whether it be, you know what I mean, your coworkers being lazy, not finishing up his or her job properly, so it's putting extra work on you or your other coworkers. You know what I mean, and nobody likes that cattiness in the work area, man. I'm like, nobody wants to deal with that type of energy on a day to day. But you know what I mean, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, so you try and push through it. But but that's just a small piece of the depression. I'm gonna tap back into that further into in like another video or so, in the next video or two. But leading into perception, with through the depression, we begin to build the perception that the world is constantly against us, like we always have the weight of the world on our shoulders, and that it's even harder for us to like push through the problems that we see in front of us. And that's, in most cases, that's not the case. If you understand what I'm saying, that's the issues that we deal with on a day-to-day basis usually aren't that heavy. You know what I mean? It's not like you're literally. It's not like we're Atlas and we're literally carrying the world on our shoulders. If you get what I'm saying. But we can figuratively put that pressure on ourselves, so it adds on to that mental depression. You know what I mean? That constant anxiety that you may be dealing with, and it's a lot of things that we try and do to cope with it, which leads to a distorted perception, like I said, which is led by the depression that you may be feeling, and it can really mess up your view on the world, or how to approach things or people. You know what I mean? Like when we perceive that, oh, this person's a hater. I always got some haters. There's always some haters on. There's always somebody hating on me. Like, when there really ain't nobody even hating on you. It's you in your mind trying to tell yourself that, so you can like create some type of stir, or even some people even create their own beefs off of that nonsense. You know what I mean? Overthinking stuff, for creating false perceptions and narratives, and that leads you into, you know what I mean, a spiral that you can't even really get yourself out of. So it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing to try and cope with that? And some people, like I said, choose pills, alcohol, weed, some even sex. You know what I mean? Some people are actually addicted to sex and don't even realize it, or they're not really willing to admit it, which is why there's a heavy there's which is why there's such a heavy porn addiction and things like that nowadays. Uh, which is another reason why people have so many sexual partners. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's a very unhealthy lifestyle. You know what I mean? And like I said, that's the perception that you'll receive from your depression, where you feel like, oh, this is the only way I can cope. I gotta relieve myself. I need some form of relief from the stress that I've been feeling. So let me go find me some butt. Let me go hit my weed man. You know what I mean, he got the bag for me. Let me go get these Zans. Let me go get this X. Let me go do that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, it's whatever your vice is or whatever you need to get yourself right mentally. Some some people, I would say, are victimized or use the victimization of their depression to constantly be stuck, to constantly be doing the same nonsense over and over, which is why you don't get out of your mental hole. You know what I mean? Like, people always blaming, you want to blame, like I said, this is depression that leads to the perception. You know what I mean? But you always want to blame somebody for your problems. You don't want to correct your own problems. You keep stepping on your own feet. And to keep it 1,000, like, you keep stepping on your own toes. Like, how you gonna get out of your own way is the real question. Because most people, they spiral on their own because they're just doing too much overthinking of the situation. Like, why is she always on my top about paying bills and doing this and that and the third, but I always got this, that, and the third when she needed. You know what I mean? But she's still bitching at me, blah blah blah. Or why is he always out here? Why is he always want to go out to the club or go hang out with his friends? It's not like he really wants to do stuff with me. And and every time he goes out with his friends, he gotta be drinking or smoking or something. And I'm not sure if I can trust him or her or da 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 da. You know what I mean? That tit for tat bull job that usually goes on, that leads to, I mean, the perception of, oh, he's cheating or she's cheating. I can't trust you. We don't even really communicate how we're supposed to. I tried to tell you what was on my mind. You ain't listen. Blah blah blah. Or I'll or you never give me enough. You never give me enough attention. You never listen. You're never really listening to what I'm telling you. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean, that tit for tat dynamic, and it can get real petty. It can get real petty, and a lot of people, that's what destroys relationships, is because you're being petty with one another, going back and forth over nonsense that really don't matter, that has no significant say or anything on your relationship or how you're trying to, like, move forward with yourself. You know what I mean? So it's very tough. It's very tough to get out of that depression, because you have to be willing to change your perception. And unless you're willing to look within yourself on a lot of cases to, you know what I mean, get yourself over that, you're going to be stuck in that same cycle. Like I said, you're going to be stuck constantly in a state of depression, looking to anything, or looking to anyone or anything to try and help you get yourself mentally back out of that vice. And most of the cases, you end up going right back into your depression, because you're popping pills, you're over smoking, you're over drinking. You know what I mean? You're doing too much, and your body can't handle it mentally or physically. So it's just a constant cycle of self destruction, and that's not life, man. That's not life. The way the world is perceived, you know what I mean, in this matrix that we live in, it's the world wants you in a constant state of depression, So then you have to rely on these vices. You got to go to the pharmacies and get these pills. You know what I mean, you need your doctor to prescribe you with this Vicodin or Percocets or whatever, so keep you can keep yourself mentally, quote unquote, mentally sane, and you're still not coping with your real problems. You're just masking them with pills and weed and alcohol and drugs. I mean, you're just masking it. You're just masking it with more nonsense to cover up the real pain that you're dealing with inside, and that's what you need to work on. That's what you got to work on. You got to work on yourself. You got to work on the inner you, whether you like it or not, for real. Because the only way you're going to truly find that peace within yourself is within yourself. I mean, you can't look to other people to try and help you find your inner peace. I mean, that's one of the reasons I even started doing this, for real, is to continue to help myself find my inner peace, because I feel like like I said, I personally feel like I don't get to communicate enough. So this is one of the ways. This is one of my ways of doing that. You know what I mean? And getting my little tidbit out, my little message out, or how I feel about certain things. So yeah, I'm gonna just cut it short. I'm gonna cut this short right now. You know what I mean, cut this short because I see that I'm up in 20 minutes right now. So you know what I mean. You know what I mean, the flow is going. So you know what I mean, I appreciate anybody that was willing to watch the whole thing. You know what I mean. I'm gonna come back with with more parts to this mental health series. You know what I mean. This is, like I said, this is a small bit about depression, which leads to the perception. You know what I mean, depression and perception. So make sure that you stay on top of yourself. You know what I mean. Always be your own biggest critic. You know what I mean, you can you can over critique yourself, because a lot of people do that, and that's narcissism. If you really want to be real about it, you don't want to be a narcissist. Like, you don't want to be you don't need to be that in depth about certain things within yourself, unless, you know what I mean, unless it's something that's going to really help you move forward as a person. But make sure you know what I mean, keep your head straight, stay focused on the things that you want to accomplish. You know what I mean, stay on task. But like I said, I'm gonna cut this short. I'm gonna end this now. Be sure to like the video, share the video, subscribe to my channel. I'm Syer Dutch on all platforms. Make sure you follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. I ain't got an Instagram yet. I'm gonna be making that here soon, so I can you know what I mean, put the videos up on there too. But yeah, it's your boy Von Dutchy, man. I'm out here. I'm about to be out. Well, I'm out here. You did?